My mom took scissors to the dresses I bought with my babysitting money and screamed, "This is not who you are." When I tried to stand up for myself, she lunged at me and started hacking through the fabric while humming a lullaby. I whispered into the 911 receiver, "She has scissors, and she won't stop." That was 18 months ago. Yesterday, she mailed a birthday card addressed to Andrew and signed it, "Your real mother." I confronted my parents after I found out that they chose my gender for me against my will. At 5, I thought I knew I was a girl, but for some reason my family kept calling me Andrew when my name was Amelia. They threw out all my church dresses out and replaced it all with polo shirts and gym clothing. I thought that this was just my life now. I didn't know any better. Cut my hair short? Okay. My pronouns are he, him? Okay. Decorate my room with NBA players? Sure. I love Kobe. All I wanted was my parents to love me, so I never questioned a thing. So when I wanted to play with Barbie dolls and have sleepovers with my female friends, I didn't care. I figured eventually those worldly desires could be extracted from my body, and eventually my dream could come true, to be the son my parents always wanted. So even when I started elementary school, I used the boys' bathrooms. I even remember attempting to use the urinal. Naturally, this led to a few questions arising, but I'd always shut them down with authority and tell them this is just how things are, or at least as much authority as a 7-year-old can humanly possess, lol. Eventually, I think my teachers actually started believing I was a boy because the questions faltered, and somehow, I managed to join the boys' football team. I hit myself in secret whenever I heard any girlish giggle or tone come out of my mouth, because the more masculine I became, the more my parents loved me. I remember being in the peak of my boyhood, when literally anyone I interacted with told me I was the best son a parent could ask for. My parents practically treated me like a king. Every day I'd wake up to a home-cooked breakfast in bed, with homemade strawberry lemonade and a surprise toy that I'd circled in my catalog. It was the best feeling ever. Fast forward to when I turned 15 and got my first period. I genuinely thought I was dying, because no one had ever introduced me to the concept of female puberty before. I frantically ran into my mom's room to tell her what happened, expecting her to call an ambulance or something. Instead, her face turned ghost white, so I lunged at her for a hug. "Get away from me!" she screamed, before curling up into a ball and having a mental breakdown. That's when my dad barged into the room. "Honey, what the F is going on? Andrew just got his period." As soon as she told him, he grabbed my wrist, dragged me into another room, and locked the door. "Amelia, I need to tell you something." It was the first time my dad had ever called me Amelia, so I knew it was serious. "You may have noticed by now that you aren't exactly a boy." I nodded in relief. It was a truth that I had waited to be acknowledged for a very long time, and that's when all the pieces of the puzzle finally came together. Turns out I did have an older sibling, a brother, one that my parents were extremely excited to raise. But there were complications during his birth, and my mom had a miscarriage. My dad tried to convince her to take some time off work and let herself grieve, but she refused. And instead, she kept pushing my dad to put a baby inside her. So when they found out I was a girl, all the grief that my mom had suppressed resurfaced. And the only way my dad combated it was by raising me as Andrew instead of Amelia. That's when my dad broke down in tears. It was one of those extremely painful sobs, and I could tell he was just letting everything out. I froze, the truth hitting me like a punch to the chest. My entire life had been built on the ashes of a brother I never knew existed. Still, I was somewhat relieved that my facade was finally over, because I wanted nothing more than for my parents to love me for who I was, until my dad proceeded to take my silver lining and shot all over it. "Son, I need you to keep being Andrew for a while, just until you move out. Think of it as a favor to your mother." "A favor?" I snapped. "I've been living my entire effing life hating myself for who I was, all because of you." My dad's eyes were instantly filled with sorrow. I knew he was just trying to keep the peace and make everyone happy, but enough was enough. I barged out of the room, and that's when I was faced with my mom. "Andrew, are you okay? How are you feeling?" "I'm not doing this anymore."